We are live. What's happening, my friends? Hoping everybody can hear me. Hoping everybody can see me. Hoping everybody's having a good day. So listen, I just wanted to hop on. Before I say anything, I just wanted to say I've been receiving so much love about the announcement that I just put out about this Watch Mojo program that I've been hired to host. For anybody who missed it, the podcast is called Inner Sleeve on Watch Mojo. They have 23 million subscribers on their core channel. I'm going to be working on their Sound Mojo branch. And this is really one of the biggest digital creating companies in the world that I'm now, I don't want to say partnered with, but I am going to say employed by. So there's a lot of questions that I've been getting, but before I answer them, I just want to say thank you for the love and support. It really means a lot. So what this podcast is going to be, it's called Inner Sleeve, and as you can probably tell, it's going to be a music-focused show. So one thing people have been asking is, am I only doing interviews with music artists now? And also, what's happening to my pre-existing content, the Cassius Show podcast? Well, I'm not only doing interviews with music artists. Of course, my content is still here as you see me streaming now. And all this is going to be is extra content to help push out and do it with an established company that can really help get the exposure out there, help get some more connections and relationships. And it's just about getting the word out and adding more. It's not about taking anything away. So the Cassius Morris Show is still around. It's going to be up in full force. And here's my plan, because the biggest thing for me is not looking for opportunity. It's what you do with that opportunity once you get it. If you work long enough and hard enough, you will eventually get an opportunity. But if you don't have the plan and the strategy for once you receive it, it's going to fall flat. So here's the strategy for this. The Cassius Morris Show is still going to be coming out every single week, and we're going to be diversifying the guests. I'm going to be having comedians on there like I have been. People have been enjoying that. Authors, different hosts, people from satellite radio, things along those lines. And we'll also have the occasional artist. I have a Grammy-nominated artist coming up on the next episode. But it's not going to be as music-focused. The main music focus is going to be on the Inner Sleeve podcast. And through that podcast, we're going to use it to do different types of music interviews. This isn't just going to be 2 interview shows. And also, Inner Sleeve is not just an interview podcast. It's just a general music podcast. So there's a ton of different things music-wise that we have lined up in terms of discussion, audience participation, some things that are probably a bit early to talk about. The show is still in its infancy, but it's not going to be limited to just being an interview show. I find when you limit yourself to just doing one thing, I've discovered that that's bad business. And not that I've necessarily ever done that, but even when I've considered it and started to sometimes release things that are more along the same lines, I feel pigeonholed. I feel trapped. It's not that anybody's complaining necessarily. There's been a lot of good things that have been happening for the last couple of years. But I always want to make it bigger. I always want to reach different networks of people and keep the content evolving. So this show is going to be, like I say, more than just interviews. To fire it up, I'll give you guys a quick outline of what we have for the launch. The launch is happening in 2 days here, depending on your time zone. 2 days for me, just about 1 day now, because this day is almost over. I'm really excited about this. We had to sit on this launch for months. But the first episode is going to be myself interviewing the founder of Watch Mojo, Ashkan Karbasfarshin, and it's an interview with him talking about the brand expansion. So I'm basically asking him what's going to set us apart on the Watch Mojo podcast network. What's going to set us apart from everybody else? There's so many podcasts out there. What is this network and this show going to do that you're not going to get elsewhere? And questions along those lines, questions about the copyright issues, because Watch Mojo is famous for getting around copyright in a legal way. They've often been accused of misusing copyright written footage, but they have the information about that and they have the law on their side. So they're really a fantastic company in terms of the way that they've stood up to copyright holders also when they are within their rights, and stood up to companies when they're trying to be censored. That's another thing too. You know, I'm only willing to partner with anybody or work with anybody that is not going to be censoring the people that are on the network, that is not going to be bending to big corporations that are now having a monopoly over what people can say and do. We can operate on these platforms, but we're not going to bend to certain things. And that's just personally how I operate. 5 to 10 years down the line, my content will likely be completely off of YouTube and completely off of, well, I don't know what other services it may be off of next, but the way YouTube is going, it doesn't look like it's going to be a free and open landscape for people to openly communicate in an uncensored way. It doesn't seem to me like it's going to be staying that way for long. So when I see a big company such as WatchMojo standing up against certain things like that and remaining within their rights and knowing the law and having the law on their side, that's stuff that's really interesting to me. So that's the first episode of the show. Myself and the founder of the company talking about his vision for his brand and how I'm hopefully going to come in there and help expand. This it's not just one show that we're doing. It is a podcast network. And that's partially why I'm so excited about this. Hold on a second. Do I have any beer left? No. I was going to take a sip of this beer. I always have my one pre-show beer. But it's a network. So that's, again, it leads to the opportunity for bigger and better things consistently. Not just a one-time bigger and better thing. It's something that can continue to grow. So that is what we have planned for the opening. And then episode 2 is going to be an interview with Marty Friedman from Megadeth. Formerly from Megadeth, but of course the guitar icon in his own right. And he's an absolute legend, calling in all the way from Tokyo, Japan. So we have that episode coming out for you guys too. But listen, I'm not going to give you guys an ear beating all night. I just wanted to let you know that I'm still doing my content. And the content that you're going to be seeing on this new program is not just going to be some sort of carbon copy of what I've already been doing or a continuation. It's going to be an expansion. And this is just the beginning. I'll tell you guys right now. I've been working for a long time to get to this point. And this is not going to be the point where things start falling through the cracks or attention to detail starts to be misplaced or anything along those lines. It's not going to happen. We're just getting started, and I really just can't express how excited I am for this. It was really hard to sit on this one. I'm telling you, it was extremely hard to sit on this. We've been in production for a couple months now. We've been filming for a couple of weeks, and I'm just really excited for you guys to see what we have coming. So, new episode of the Cassius Show is coming up. Grammy-nominated artist Chaos is going to be on the show. Absolute icon and legend in my world of music. And then we're going to have the podcast for episode 1 of Inner Sleeve on WatchMojo with the founder of WatchMojo himself. So stay tuned for that, guys. And thank you again for all the love and support. It really means a lot. You know, this has been a crazy journey. And you guys have been on every step of this journey with me. I take a look back at some of the videos that I would publish 5 to 6 years ago, and I fucking cringe. I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking putting that up? Or looking like that, or having it set up that way? But you guys still supported me because you saw potential. And words are a feeble means to describe how much that means to me. So to keep it simple, I'll say thank you. Stay tuned to my feeds for all the updates. As you guys know, love you very much. Talk soon.